is Ellie Castellino, and I am an undergraduate research assistant with the Supporting Transformative Autism Research Initiative. Thank you for joining us today for our discussion with Dr. Erica Rouch about her clinical research in autism diagnosis. Dr. Rouch is an assistant research professor for STAR here at UVA, and she is researching ways to improve access to autism services for underserved populations and is looking at gender differences in autism diagnosis and treatment. Dr. Rouch joins us today to talk about her current research in autism diagnosis for girls and her peers social skills group project. Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'd love to just, ask you a little bit about what exactly you're doing with your work with the Peers Project and why is this work so important?
Yeah, so my work really focuses on applied research, so ways that we can improve assessment and intervention for the ASD population. And so the Peers Social Skills Intervention is an evidence-based intervention out of UCLA that really focuses on social skills. It's a social skills group. So it's 14 to 16 sessions, and in each session you really break down the social skills into steps. So entering a conversation has specific steps. Handling disagreements has specific steps. And so we're using this curriculum that involves participation of adolescents in the social skills group, but alongside that, their parents as social skills groups, as social coaches. And one of the really important things about that is that, an hour and a half social skills group per week is great. You role play, you practice skills, but having parents as a social coach means that they take these skills home with them. They are expected to do homework. The parent learns how to be a coach. And that means that even when the program is over, the parent can still be supporting their daughter in these skills. So that's why it's such a nice curriculum that we've decided to use it, and I've used it over the years. And this particular project is focused on doing that peers intervention, the social skills groups, with a group of all adolescent females. And the background on this is that, there is data to support that right now there are 4 males for every female diagnosed with autism. So a lot of our autism knowledge is based on males. Our diagnostic tools have been developed based on males. So there's this idea that maybe we're missing some females who may actually have autism, and that females may present a little bit differently. And this is an emerging area of research. This idea that these females with higher intellect and higher verbal skills might be being missed. And so if we think about the possibility that this group has a slightly different presentation, it begs the question, well, how do we support them? And we know that the peers intervention has good data for improving social skills in both females and males. But for this project, we thought it would be really interesting and informative to look at a group of all females to see if, based on possible differences in social abilities, whether they think some sessions are more important than others, whether the dynamic of having more all females is more supportive or less supportive, and to really get that feedback from the participating families about how we can better support them, right? Can we use this to build social skills in a way that's more meaningful for this population?
Absolutely. That sounds like a really cool project. What exactly are some gender differences that are commonly seen in autism?
Yeah, so when we think about autism, we think about 2 areas: restricted and repetitive behaviors and social differences, right? So we know that females with autism may be less likely to have unusual intense interests. So males might be really interested in something unusual like fans and be very focused on this. Females tend to have more typical interests, but the intensity might be kind of unusual for the developmental period. So that might be My Little Pony, but everything that they talk about is My Little Pony. They wear My Little Pony. They want to play with My Little Pony all the time. So a little bit of a different presentation in that domain. And then particularly in the social domain, research is really just emerging on this, but there's some evidence that females with autism, particularly when they're in elementary school, may be able to do what we sometimes refer to as camouflaging. So looking around to see what other children are doing and kind of copying that so that they are less likely to, stick out as not fitting in. So they tend to have some better foundational skills, like making eye contact or using gestures when they're talking. And so, and using creative play and imagination can be a difficulty in autism. And these girls might actually be very creative, but maybe more in a fantasy world than we might expect them. So they might create very elaborate pretend play setups and have a hard time stopping doing these sorts of things. And so that looks a little bit different than a male presentation. But then, you know, adolescence emerges, social demands increase, and we see that these females do have more difficulties in adolescence, particularly with things that are complex, like handling disagreements, handling bullying, you know, being in group social situations as opposed to one-on-one. So we see that they're actually more prone to things like anxiety, depression than males.
Wow, it feels like we just kind of scratched the surface. So it's great that you're kind of diving really deep into this field with your research. I know that you've been working with the girls for a couple sessions now. Where have you maybe seen the greatest social skill improvement for the participants?
Yeah, so, you know, we were disrupted by COVID, started in February, took a break after about 7 or 8 sessions, and then restarted in August via telehealth. So all the groups are over a virtual platform now. But we are about to finish this curriculum finally. And I think some of the places that have been exciting to see growth despite the disruption are in those earlier skills that we started with. So, and they've gotten a lot of repetition and practice with these things by now. So things like trading information to have conversations is one of the things we focus on, that back and forth of conversation, that finding a common interest so that we can use that to then either keep the conversation going or to enter a conversation we weren't already a part of. So the girls have really shown a lot of growth. And I think a big thing there is not just the growth in the skills themselves, but their confidence is apparent. And that's really meaningful to see. And I think their parents see it too. And we had a parent say that their daughter is just more comfortable already with her ASD diagnosis and her identity. So that's obviously wonderful to hear. And then on the parent side, you know, and this is really common when we start these social skills groups, it's not unique to this one. I think it's typical for there to be nervousness around letting your daughter out into the world and doing things like getting on social media or texting or making phone calls on their own or having a phone to begin with, right? And so at the beginning, some of these girls were really not doing these things, and it's nice to see the parents really become together a supportive group that is a safe place for them to feel comfortable kind of being able to coach, right, and be involved so that their girls can become more independent in a safe way and don't have to navigate this stuff later when they have no, you know, they're out of the house and they have no support. So that's been really great to see.
Absolutely. And I think confidence is something that a lot of kids in their adolescence struggle with. So that's a huge improvement from this project. Before we run out of time, I would just like to know if there's any plans to expand this project anytime soon.
Yeah, so with regard to this particular project, you know, we're excited to see the feedback that we get from the families at the end, and we certainly will take that information and use it to inform kind of next steps, right? So if we need to tweak some of the sessions, if we need to place more emphasis on something like handling rumors and gossip and less emphasis on, you know, how to have a conversation, those foundational skills, then we're going to take that and run with it, right? And the goal ultimately would be, you know, in research, our groups are kind of stringently based on certain sets of criteria, but the goal would ultimately to be just have a different group that's not maybe for girls only, but is for any individual who feels that, you know, this different set of skills might be more useful to them. So that's the goal there. And then I'll just touch briefly on one other idea project that we have in the works with the peers curriculum. We are starting a workforce development project with the UVA School of Data Science. So it's going to be a combo of training in data science for young adults and apprenticeship job shadowing alongside the peers social curriculum for young adults, with the idea that we know that in the workplace, social skills for this population are so important and are often the reason that they're not successful in jobs. So with the hope that that could really improve employment success. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, those sounds like really exciting projects coming up. Thank you so much for sharing more about your research and the Peers Project today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And for any of our viewers, if you have questions about this presentation, please feel free to email us at star-autism@virginia.edu. And you can also sign up for our STAR monthly newsletter by clicking the link below. Thanks, and we hope you guys join us next time.